Nadia grew up in a small village nestled between the lush, rolling hills of her homeland. The village was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the traditions of ancestors were not just respected but revered. Every morning, the village awoke to the sound of the muezzin's call to prayer, and every evening, families gathered around the dinner table to share stories passed down through generations. Nadia's family was well respected in the village. Her father, Al-Haji Suleiman, was a devout man, known for his wisdom and adherence to tradition. Her mother, Hajiya Safiya, was the embodiment of grace and modesty, raising her children with the values she had learned from her own mother. Nadia, the eldest daughter, was the pride of her family. From a young age, she was taught the importance of family honor, obedience, and the roles expected of a woman in their society, but Nadia was different. Beneath her serene exterior was a mind that questioned the world around her. She excelled in her studies and often found herself lost in books that spoke of worlds beyond her village. Her teachers praised her intellect, and her friends admired her for her quiet strength. Yet, despite her curiosity and intelligence, Nadia was always mindful of the boundaries set by her culture. When Nadia was accepted into a prestigious university in the city, it was a moment of both pride and apprehension for her family. Al-Haji Suleiman was hesitant at first, worried that the city would corrupt his daughter and lead her away from the traditions that had shaped their lives. But Hajiya Safiya, sensing her daughter's potential, convinced her husband to let Nadia go, reassuring him that their daughter would remain true to her roots. The city was a stark contrast to the village. It was vibrant, bustling, and filled with people from all walks of life. For the first time, Nadia was exposed to new ideas, cultures, and perspectives. She was fascinated by the diversity around her and quickly adapted to the fast-paced life of the city. At university, she was surrounded by students who, like her, were eager to learn and explore. But it was Karim who caught her attention. Karim was in his final year of study when he met Nadia. He was charming, confident, and had a magnetic personality that drew people to him. Unlike Nadia, Karim came from a more liberal background. His family, though rooted in tradition, had embraced modernity in many aspects of their lives. He was passionate about social justice and often engaged in debates about culture, identity, and the future of their society. Nadia and Karim's paths crossed in a literature class. Karim was intrigued by Nadia's quiet demeanor and the way she carefully considered her words before speaking. He admired her intelligence and the depth of her thoughts. Nadia, in turn, was drawn to Karim's charisma and the way he challenged her to think beyond the confines of her upbringing. Their friendship blossomed quickly. They spent hours together, discussing everything from literature to politics, from their favorite poets to the challenges facing their country. Karim introduced Nadia to books and films she had never encountered, while Nadia shared with him the rich oral traditions of her village. It wasn't long before their friendship deepened into something more. Karim was the first to admit his feelings. One evening, after a long day of classes, he took Nadia to a quiet spot in the university garden. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the city. Karim turned to Nadia, his voice gentle but firm. "Nadia, I've grown to care for you deeply. I know this may be sudden, but I can't imagine my life without you." Nadia's heart raced. She had felt the same way for weeks but had been too afraid to admit it, even to herself. She knew the implications of their relationship, how it would be seen by her family and community. But in that moment, under the fading light of the day, all she could think about was Karim and the love that had grown between them. "I care for you too, Karim," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "But we have to be careful. Our families. Our traditions. They won't understand." Karim nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "We'll find a way, Nadia. I believe in us." As their relationship grew, so did the challenges they faced. Nadia's parents, unaware of her relationship with Karim, began arranging for her marriage. It was a common practice in her village for parents to choose spouses for their children, ensuring that the union would uphold the family's honor and traditions. The suitor chosen for Nadia was a young man from their village, well respected and from a good family. He was a childhood acquaintance of Nadia, someone she had grown up with but had never seen in a romantic light. When her parents informed her of the arrangement, Nadia felt a sinking feeling in her chest. She knew this day would come, but she hadn't expected it so soon. That evening, Nadia confided in her mother, hoping to find understanding and support. They sat together in the quiet of the family's courtyard, the night air filled with the scent of jasmine. "Mama," Nadia began, her voice trembling, "there's something I need to tell you." Hajiya Safia looked at her daughter with concern. "What is it, Nadia? You know you can tell me anything." Nadia took a deep breath, gathering her courage. "I've met someone, Mama. His name is Karim, and he's not from our village. He's different. But I love him." Hajiya Safia's face softened, but her eyes were filled with worry. "Nadia, love is important, but so is our tradition. You know how your father feels about these things. He believes in the old ways, in the values that have kept our family strong for generations." "I know, Mama," Nadia replied, tears welling up in her eyes. "But I want a life where I can choose my own path, where I can be with someone who understands me, who shares my dreams." Hajiya Safia reached out and took Nadia's hand. "I understand, my dear. But you must also understand that your father's word is final. He believes he's doing what's best for you, even if it's hard for you to see it now." While Nadia grappled with her family's expectations, Karim faced his own challenges. When he told his parents about Nadia, their initial reaction was one of surprise. They had always imagined Karim marrying someone from their own community, someone who would fit seamlessly into their family. Karim's father, Al-Haji Musa, was particularly concerned. "Karim, you know we've always given you the freedom to make your own choices, but marriage is different. It's not just about love, it's about building a family, a future." Nadia's background. "It's very different from ours." Karim tried to explain. "Baba, I know our families come from different traditions, but Nadia and I share the same values. She's smart, kind, and she understands me in a way no one else does." His mother, Hajiya Maryam, sighed. "We're not saying she isn't a good person, Karim. But marriage is about more than just two people. It's about bringing families together, and with such different backgrounds, it will be difficult." Karim's frustration grew. "So, what are you saying? That I should give up on the person I love because of where she comes from?" His father shook his head. "We're not asking you to give up. We just want you to consider the challenges you'll face. It won't be easy, and we're worried about how this will affect you both." Despite his parents' concerns, Karim remained steadfast in his love for Nadia. He believed that they could overcome any obstacle if they were together. But as the pressure from both families mounted, he began to realize just how difficult their path would be. The day of Nadia's engagement arrived, and the village was abuzz with excitement. It was a grand affair, with family members and friends gathering to celebrate the union. Nadia, dressed in a traditional gown, felt like a stranger in her own life. Her heart was heavy with the weight of the decision she was about to make. Karim, unable to bear the thought of losing Nadia, made one last attempt to change her mind. He waited for her outside the village mosque, where he knew she would go to pray before the ceremony. When Nadia emerged, she was surprised to see Karim standing there, his face etched with worry. "Karim, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice filled with anxiety. "I had to see you, Nadia," he replied, stepping closer to her. "I can't let you go through with this. We can find another way, run away, start a new life together. We don't have to do this." Nadia's heart ached at his words. She wanted nothing more than to be with Karim, to live the life they had dreamed of. But she knew the consequences of such a decision. "Karim, I love you, but I can't turn my back on my family. They've given me everything, and I owe them my loyalty." Tears streamed down Nadia's face as she spoke. "If we run away, we'll lose everything, our families, our honor. I can't do that to them, and I can't do that to us. We'll always be looking over our shoulders, wondering if we made the right choice. Karim's eyes filled with tears, but he knew Nadia was right. I don't want to lose you, Nadia, he whispered, his voice breaking. But I also don't want to force you into something that will bring you pain. Nadia reached out and took his hand, her touch gentle but firm. We'll always have each other in our hearts, Karim. No matter what happens, I'll always love you. Nadia went through with the engagement, and soon after, the marriage took place. The village rejoiced, and her family was proud to see her take her place as a wife in a respected household. But inside, Nadia felt an emptiness that no amount of celebration could fill. Karim, devastated by the loss of the woman he loved, threw himself into his work. He completed his studies and went on to pursue a career in social justice, channeling his pain into his passion for helping others. But no matter how much time passed, he couldn't forget Nadia. Years went by, and life took its course. Nadia and Karim both moved on, building lives that were, in many ways, fulfilling. But the love they had shared, the dreams they had once held so close, remained a bittersweet memory. Nadia became a mother, raising her children with the same values her parents had instilled in her. But she also made sure to teach them the importance of following their hearts. Of finding a balance between tradition and personal happiness. Karim traveled the world, advocating for the rights of the marginalized and oppressed. He met many people, formed new relationships, but the memory of Nadia remained with him, a reminder of the sacrifices they had made for the sake of their families. One day, many years later, Karim returned to the village where it had all begun. He was invited to speak at a community event, and as he walked through the familiar streets, memories of his time with Nadia flooded back. After the event, as Karim was preparing to leave, he saw a woman standing at the edge of the crowd. She was dressed in traditional clothing, her face partially covered by a veil. But there was something about her that felt familiar. As she approached, Karim's heart skipped a beat. It was Nadia. They hadn't seen each other in years, but the connection between them was still as strong as ever. Nadia, Karim said softly, his voice filled with emotion. Karim, she replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. It's been so long. They stood there, gazing at each other, the weight of the years between them hanging in the air. There was so much to say, but no words could capture the depth of their feelings. I've missed you, Karim finally said, his voice breaking. Nadia smiled sadly. I've missed you too, Karim. But we made our choices, and we have to live with them. Karim nodded, his heart heavy. I know. But that doesn't mean I've forgotten. I'll never forget. Nadia reached out and touched his arm, a gesture of comfort and understanding. Neither will I. But we have to let go, Karim. We have to move on. With those words, they parted ways, each carrying the memory of their love in their hearts. They had lived their lives according to the traditions and expectations of their families, but their love had remained a quiet, enduring force, shaping who they had become. Nadia and Karim never found their way back to each other, but their story became a poignant reminder of the tension between love and tradition. In their village, they were remembered as the ones who had loved deeply but had chosen to honor their families above all else. Nadia's children grew up hearing stories of their mother's strength and the sacrifices she had made. They admired her for her courage and the way she had balanced her own desires with the expectations placed upon her. Karim continued his work, inspired by the love he had lost but never forgotten. He became a voice for those caught between tradition and modernity, advocating for the right to choose one's own path in life. And though they were separated by time and circumstance, the love between Nadia and Karim remained a beautiful, if bittersweet, memory, a testament to the power of love and the enduring influence of tradition.